There once was a man who walked through a dense forest every morning. The path was narrow and winding, and the trees were so close together that it was easy to lose your way. Yet he walked with care, stepping lightly, pausing to notice the smallest details, the way the sunlight caught a leaf, the sound of a stream hidden among the roots. One day, someone asked him why he walked alone, why he did not hurry, why he did not grab everything he saw along the path. He smiled quietly and said, "I could rush. I could try to take every flower, every stone, every moment for myself. But I have learned that to truly appreciate the beauty of this forest, I must walk slowly. I must watch. I must reflect. And sometimes I must step back, not because I do not care, but because I do." In that stillness, he discovered the secret of the forest. It is not the one who hurries, who forces their way through, who sees everything, that experiences it fully. It is the one who moves with awareness, who honors the space between the trees, who understands that patience and presence reveal depth. And in that realization, he saw something greater. Love, like the forest, is not possession or immediate closeness. It grows in the careful attention, in the respect for space, and in the conscious awareness of every step. Love, in its most profound form, is not about possession. It is not measured by constant presence or by the imposition of one's desires onto another. To truly love someone is to recognize them as a complete being, with their own thoughts, feelings, and rhythms. A man who loves deeply understands this on a level that goes beyond mere courtesy or politeness. He knows that forcing closeness or demanding attention can distort the very connection he cherishes. This respect for autonomy is the foundation of genuine intimacy, for it allows love to exist freely, without the chains of expectation. When he steps back, it is not an act of indifference, but of awareness. He sees that the space between two people is not emptiness, but a fertile ground for growth. In this space, each person can reflect, explore, and understand themselves more fully. He knows that the richness of love is found not in constant merging, but in the balance between connection and individuality. By maintaining this distance, he honors the other's inner life and his own, creating a relationship that is rooted in mutual respect rather than dependency. Autonomy in love also requires courage. It is easy to cling to someone out of fear of loss, fear of change, or fear of being alone. But a man who truly loves does not allow fear to dictate his actions. He recognizes that love cannot flourish under the weight of control or anxiety. By stepping back, he demonstrates trust, not only in the other person, but also in the strength of the bond they share. This trust allows love to breathe, to expand naturally, and to mature over time. This respect for autonomy is not cold or distant. On the contrary, it is deeply nurturing. It acknowledges that each person has their own path, their own challenges, and their own dreams. By giving space, he enables growth, creativity, and self-discovery. He understands that trying to shape or confine love leads only to resentment and limitation. Instead, he cultivates an environment where both hearts can flourish independently while remaining intertwined at a deeper level. A man who values autonomy also listens differently. He does not rush to fill silences or solve every problem. He allows moments of solitude, understanding that reflection is essential for clarity and emotional depth. This patience demonstrates his awareness that love is not about immediate gratification, but about sustained presence and understanding. By allowing distance, he encourages the other to embrace their own experiences and insights, fostering a bond built on respect rather than dependence. In relationships, the need for autonomy often intersects with trust. A man who loves deeply trusts that the other person's choices are valid, even when they do not align perfectly with his desires. He resists the urge to control or manipulate outcomes, understanding that true connection arises from freedom, not constraint. Distance, in this sense, is a form of faith, a belief that love does not weaken when space is present, but strengthens as both people are allowed to exist fully as themselves. This approach also reflects emotional maturity. He recognizes that attachment and desire can cloud judgment, and that too much closeness can create tension or misunderstanding. By respecting boundaries and honoring autonomy, he models a love that is thoughtful, intentional, and sustainable. His withdrawal is not rejection, but a conscious choice to maintain the integrity of both hearts, ensuring that connection is built on depth rather than urgency or neediness. Ultimately, respecting autonomy is a silent expression of love. It communicates that the relationship is not about control or fulfillment of selfish desires, but about mutual growth and understanding. A man who loves in this way sees the other as an equal, as a whole being, not an extension of himself. His distance is a reflection of reverence for the other's individuality, a recognition that love thrives when it is allowed to be free, deliberate, and conscious. In honoring autonomy, he reveals the profound truth that love's deepest expression is not in constant closeness, but in the delicate balance of presence and freedom. A man who loves deeply carries within him an ocean of reflection. His emotions are not shallow, fleeting waves, but complex currents that demand understanding. He does not rush to express every feeling the moment it arises, nor does he act impulsively out of desire or fear. Instead, he observes, he contemplates, and he seeks to understand the roots of his emotions. This inner work is a quiet discipline, an ongoing dialogue between his conscious self and the deeper layers of his psyche. Through this reflection, he gains insight into what he feels and why, allowing him to act from clarity rather than confusion. Emotional depth is intertwined with self-awareness. He recognizes that love is not simply a reaction to the presence of another, but a mirror of his own inner state. When he feels affection, longing, or concern, he examines these emotions carefully, understanding how they connect to his past experiences, his fears, and his aspirations. By doing so, he ensures that his love is authentic and not distorted by unresolved pain or unconscious impulses. This reflective process is not a withdrawal from love, but a preparation to engage with it fully, honestly, and responsibly. Reflection also allows him to navigate the complexities of relationships without being overwhelmed. Deep love can awaken vulnerability, insecurities, and doubts. A man who loves with emotional depth does not ignore these challenges. He confronts them within himself. He understands that acting without awareness can unintentionally harm the one he cares about or himself. By stepping back and contemplating, he ensures that his actions are guided by understanding rather than reaction. This patience becomes an invisible safety net, protecting the bond from impulsive harm. In this contemplative space, he learns to discern between emotion and projection. He recognizes that often what we feel toward another person is a reflection of our own inner world. Feelings of jealousy, fear, or frustration may not arise solely from the other, but from his own unresolved wounds. By reflecting deeply, he separates what belongs to him from what belongs to the relationship, cultivating clarity that allows love to grow in a healthy, balanced way. This self-examination is not ego-driven but deeply humble, acknowledging the limits of understanding and the necessity of ongoing growth. Reflection also brings patience. He understands that love unfolds over time and that rushing or forcing emotional closeness can destabilize the connection. By sitting with his feelings, observing them without judgment, he gains the capacity to wait, to allow the relationship to evolve organically. He knows that deep love is not measured in constant intensity, but in the enduring presence of understanding, compassion, and thoughtful engagement. In his reflection, there is a reverence for the unfolding process of connection. A man who loves deeply also uses reflection to cultivate empathy. By examining his own emotional landscape, he becomes more attuned to the subtleties of the other person's experience. He perceives unspoken needs, unacknowledged fears, and the quiet hopes that often guide behavior. This sensitivity does not demand immediate response, but allows him to act with awareness, choosing the right moment, the right words, and the right gestures. Love guided by reflection is deliberate, nurturing, and profoundly respectful. Moreover, reflection safeguards authenticity. In a world of superficiality and impulse, his introspection ensures that his expressions of love are genuine. He does not offer hollow words or empty gestures, for he has taken the time to understand his own intentions and feelings. Each act of love becomes a conscious choice, rooted in insight and integrity. Through this process, he demonstrates that distance or quietness is not a lack of affection, but a sign of profound emotional maturity. Through emotional depth and reflection, a man learns the paradoxical truth that loving deeply sometimes requires restraint. By stepping back, by observing and understanding his feelings fully, he allows love to exist in its purest form, unforced, considered, and enduring. In this space of reflection, love is not reactive or chaotic, but measured, aware, and capable of withstanding the complexities of human life. It is a love that honors both the other and himself, one that flourishes through awareness rather than haste, and one that, even in silence, speaks more profoundly than words ever could. A man who loves deeply carries a profound awareness of the fragility inherent in human hearts. He knows that love is not a simple pleasure, it is a complex force that can heal and hurt in equal measure. This awareness fosters a subtle fear, not of rejection, but of inadvertently causing pain. When he steps back, it is often because he is acutely conscious of how his words, actions, or even his presence might impact the one he cares for. This is not hesitation born of weakness, but a careful consideration rooted in empathy and responsibility. The fear of wounding is closely tied to understanding the other's vulnerabilities. He perceives that every person carries unseen scars, emotional histories that shape responses and reactions. He recognizes that a careless comment, a moment of impatience, or an unguarded truth can trigger old wounds, sometimes more profoundly than he could anticipate. By keeping distance, he grants himself the space to navigate his own feelings and to act with precision, ensuring that love does not become a source of unintended pain. This awareness also reflects his respect for emotional complexity. Love is not simply about pleasure or connection. It is a mirror to the psyche, revealing fears, insecurities, and unspoken longings. A man who fears wounding understands that love, when mishandled, can magnify these internal struggles. By consciously creating space, he allows the relationship to exist in a way that honors the emotional integrity of both parties. Distance becomes a shield, not from connection, but from harm. And in this act, he demonstrates a depth of care that is often invisible but profoundly significant. Fear of wounding is also intertwined with his own sense of accountability. He knows that acting out of impulse or desire, no matter how genuine, can produce consequences that echo far beyond the moment. This consciousness requires patience, reflection, and self-restraint. He must balance the longing to express affection with the need to act responsibly, carefully weighing how his choices resonate within the emotional world of the one he loves. In this delicate tension lies a subtle paradox. Love compels him to be present, yet wisdom compels him to step back. The fear of wounding also arises from humility. He is aware that he does not possess full knowledge of the other's inner life. He cannot see every hidden fear, every quiet longing, every fragile insecurity. This recognition humbles him and tempers his actions. It prevents arrogance or presumption from guiding his behavior, reminding him that love is not a conquest or a possession, but a delicate negotiation between two complete beings. By keeping distance, he protects the sacredness of the connection and allows it to develop organically rather than forcing it into a premature intimacy. This awareness also fosters patience. When confronted with behavior that triggers discomfort or unease, he resists the urge to judge hastily. He pauses, reflects, and examines whether the response stems from his own projections. In doing so, he allows space for understanding and compassion, both for himself and for the one he loves. Distance in this context is a protective and thoughtful gesture, preventing emotional reactions from overshadowing genuine connection. It is an investment in clarity, a conscious effort to ensure that love is expressed in its most authentic form. Projection awareness deepens empathy. By recognizing his own tendencies to misinterpret or distort, he becomes more forgiving and understanding of human complexity. He approaches the other person not with expectation, but with observation and respect. He learns to listen, not only to words but to the subtle layers beneath them, discerning intention without coloring it with his own insecurities. This mindful observation creates a space where love can thrive, where connection is based on true understanding rather than the illusions of the mind. At the heart of this awareness is a profound respect for both self and other. He acknowledges his own imperfections while honoring the individuality of the one he loves. By keeping distance, he allows time for reflection, ensuring that expressions of love are conscious, deliberate, and untainted by unconscious bias. This practice transforms love from a reactive force into a considered, intentional presence. In recognizing projection, he also embraces personal growth. The act of examining one's own emotional and psychological patterns is not always comfortable, but it is necessary for authentic connection. Love, in its deepest form, is not a blind surrender, but a conscious engagement. He understands that the more aware he is of his own projections, the more genuine his love becomes, and the more secure the bond he shares. In this way, distance is not absence but a deliberate act of mindfulness, ensuring that love is rooted in reality, guided by awareness, and capable of enduring the complexities of the human heart. A man who loves deeply recognizes that within every individual lies a shadow, the hidden and often unacknowledged parts of the self. These are the thoughts, fears, insecurities, and impulses that society, upbringing, or personal habit has taught him to suppress. In relationships, these shadows inevitably emerge, sometimes subtly, sometimes with startling intensity. A man aware of his shadow does not ignore it. Instead, he engages with it deliberately, understanding that true love cannot flourish while these hidden aspects remain unexamined. This engagement often requires distance, not as a withdrawal from connection, but as a conscious effort to confront his inner world before it influences the relationship. Shadow work demands courage because it forces him to face uncomfortable truths. He may discover feelings of inadequacy, jealousy, anger, or fear that he has avoided for years. Rather than projecting these feelings onto the one he loves, he takes responsibility for them within himself. By acknowledging these hidden aspects, he prevents the shadow from manifesting in harmful ways in the relationship. The distance he keeps allows him to navigate these emotions thoughtfully, ensuring that his love is expressed from a place of self-awareness and integrity, rather than impulsive reactivity. In relationships, shadow work is both personal and relational. He examines not only how his shadow affects his own behavior, but also how it may influence the dynamics between him and the other person. He is aware that unresolved fears can lead to misunderstandings, overreactions, or emotional withdrawal. By confronting these inner patterns, he becomes less reactive and more intentional, capable of approaching the relationship with honesty, patience, and empathy. This reflection transforms love from a simple exchange of affection into a conscious partnership where both parties are respected and nurtured. Shadow work also cultivates humility. He understands that no one is perfect, including himself. Accepting his own flaws reduces the temptation to judge or criticize the other for theirs. This acceptance creates space for genuine intimacy, where love is not conditional upon perfection, but grounded in awareness and compassion. By stepping back to confront his shadow, he models emotional responsibility, demonstrating that love requires not only desire, but also deep self-knowledge and accountability. The process of integrating the shadow is ongoing. There are no fixed endpoints or final victories. Each relationship presents new challenges that may awaken hidden fears or insecurities, demanding renewed reflection and understanding. A man who loves deeply does not resist these challenges. He approaches them as opportunities to grow. Distance in this context is a protective and constructive measure, giving him the clarity and composure needed to navigate these moments without causing harm or misunderstanding. Shadow work also enhances emotional depth and empathy. As he becomes more familiar with his own hidden emotions, he gains insight into the complexities of human behavior. He recognizes that the other person too carries a shadow, shaped by their experiences, fears, and unacknowledged desires. This awareness allows him to approach the relationship with patience and understanding, refraining from hasty judgments or reactive criticism. Love becomes a shared journey of growth, where each person's inner work enriches the bond rather than undermines it. Maintaining this balance requires discipline. He must continually monitor his impulses, emotions, and reactions, distinguishing between what is rooted in his shadow and what is a genuine response to the present moment. This self-observation is demanding, often uncomfortable, but essential for authentic connection. Through it, he ensures that his love is deliberate, considered, and constructive, rather than reactive or harmful. Ultimately, shadow work in relationships is an act of reverence for the other person. By confronting his own darkness, he prevents it from interfering with the bond, creating a space where love can exist freely, safely, and with integrity. Distance, in this sense, is not a retreat from love, but an intentional act of care, allowing him to engage fully, consciously, and with the depth that the relationship deserves. Through this ongoing work, he demonstrates that true love is not only about closeness and affection, but also about the courage to face oneself, to grow continuously, and to nurture the connection with awareness, patience, and authenticity. A man who loves deeply understands that love is not always about immediate gratification. True love often requires waiting, restraint, and the willingness to prioritize the needs of the relationship over personal desires. This is what can be called sacrificial patience, a conscious choice to hold back, not out of indifference, but out of respect and care. It is a form of love that values long-term harmony and growth over short-term satisfaction, knowing that rushing or forcing closeness can disrupt the delicate balance of a meaningful connection. Sacrificial patience is rooted in awareness. He recognizes that emotions, impulses, and desires are powerful, and if acted upon without reflection, they can inadvertently cause harm. By exercising restraint, he allows space for thought, for understanding, and for the other person's autonomy. This is not passive avoidance, but an active engagement with the nature of love. He carefully considers the timing and manner of his actions, ensuring that when he expresses himself, it is with clarity, intention, and respect. Patience in this form often involves a quiet struggle within the self. Desire pulls strongly, urging immediacy and closeness, yet wisdom counsels caution. A man who loves deeply listens to this inner voice of reason, understanding that sometimes stepping back is the greatest gift he can offer. It is a demonstration that love is not possessive, that it is capable of holding tension, uncertainty, and delay without diminishing in intensity. In this way, patience becomes an expression of love itself, a deliberate, conscious act of care. This sacrificial quality of patience reflects maturity. He is aware that love is not merely about emotional satisfaction, but about nurturing a bond that can endure challenges, changes, and the inevitable complexities of life. By resisting the temptation to force outcomes or demand closeness, he ensures that the relationship develops naturally and sustainably. He accepts that love is a process, not an event, and that its deepest expressions often unfold quietly, over time, rather than through dramatic gestures. Sacrificial patience also requires humility. He recognizes that the other person's needs, boundaries, and timing are as important as his own. Love, in its most authentic form, is a shared journey, and he does not impose his desires for immediate fulfillment at the expense of the other's comfort or growth. By allowing space and waiting for the right moment, he demonstrates that love is not selfish but selfless, attentive to the well-being of the other as well as the connection itself. This type of patience cultivates emotional strength. He becomes capable of holding complex emotions, longing, hope, uncertainty, without acting destructively. He understands that love can exist in silence and distance, as well as in proximity and expression. His restraint is a testament to the depth of his commitment and the seriousness with which he approaches the emotional responsibilities of love. Through this discipline, he communicates that love is enduring, not fleeting, and that it thrives when it is treated with respect, thoughtfulness, and care. Sacrificial patience also allows for reflection and self-growth. In the intervals of waiting, he examines his feelings, motivations, and patterns, ensuring that his actions are aligned with the highest intentions. He becomes more attuned to his own shadows, projections, and fears, integrating these insights into how he engages in the relationship. Distance, in this context, is not a withdrawal from love, but an opportunity to strengthen it through conscious awareness and mindful action. Furthermore, this patience fosters trust. By demonstrating restraint and respect for timing, he communicates reliability, stability, and emotional intelligence. The other person can sense the authenticity of his love, knowing that it is not reactive or dependent on immediate satisfaction, but measured, deliberate, and enduring. This creates a safe space where both individuals can grow, explore, and deepen their bond without fear of impulsive harm or inconsiderate action. Ultimately, sacrificial patience embodies the paradox of love. It is both active and restrained, present yet measured, giving yet withholding when necessary. A man who practices this kind of love shows that true devotion is not always expressed in constant closeness or immediate action, but in the quiet, deliberate willingness to wait, to reflect, and to act in ways that serve the connection rather than merely his own desires. Through this conscious restraint, love is not only preserved, but elevated, becoming a force that nurtures, protects, and endures, capable of withstanding the complexities and challenges of life. In the end, the distance he maintains is not a sign of indifference or lack of love. It is a reflection of awareness, respect, and care. A recognition that love is strongest when it is conscious, intentional, and free from unconscious impulses. He steps back not to escape connection, but to ensure that every word, every action, and every gesture comes from clarity and understanding. This kind of love honors both hearts, allowing space for growth, reflection, and authenticity. It shows that true devotion is patient, self-aware, and thoughtful, capable of holding both longing and restraint. And in that quiet, measured presence, love speaks more profoundly than words ever could. It teaches us that sometimes the deepest expressions of care are not in constant closeness, but in the wisdom to wait, to reflect, and to act with intention. This is love in its most enduring and authentic form.